Let's go deeper. Have you ever felt like the world was trying to speak to you? Like the very fabric of reality was nudging you, guiding you, whispering to you in symbols and patterns that felt too precise to be accidents? You're not alone, and you're not imagining things. What you're noticing are cracks in the illusion, signals from a deeper intelligence encoded into the structure of the universe itself. These signals obey ancient laws, not man-made ones, laws not taught in school or preached by the system, laws older than religion, older than science, laws that mystics, philosophers, alchemists, and sages whispered about in secret across continents, generations, and civilizations. These are the 7 Hermetic Principles, and they govern everything. Not just your thoughts, not just your body, but reality itself. These principles are not just philosophy. They are the source code of existence. And once you understand them, you begin to see the matrix for what it is. You begin to wake up. The first Hermetic principle is mentalism. The all is mind. This isn't just poetic, it's literal. Everything you see, everything you touch, every experience you have exists within consciousness. Nothing can exist outside of it. This principle tells us that the universe is not a giant machine, but a great mind. That matter is not primary. Mind is. Your thoughts are not echoes. They are engines. Your imagination is not fantasy. It's the blueprint of creation. Everything in the material world begins in the invisible one. What you think, you become. What you hold in mind, you eventually hold in hand. This is not just self-help. It's metaphysical law. The system taught you that your thoughts are private, weak, irrelevant, that only the physical is real, that feelings are noise, that intuition is irrational. But that's the lie. The truth is your consciousness is the architect of your reality, and when you begin to align your thoughts with intention, with clarity, with purpose, reality bends, because it's made of the same substance you are, mind. The second principle is correspondence. As above, so below. As within, so without. This phrase has echoed through ancient temples, occult manuscripts, and esoteric teachings for thousands of years. It is the law of reflection. The micro mirrors the macro. Your internal world shapes your external one. The same patterns that govern galaxies govern atoms. The same cycles that play out in nature play out in your relationships, your finances, your health. You don't live in separation from the universe. You are its mirror. If your life is full of chaos, it's not just bad luck, it's information. It's a reflection of what's unintegrated within. Most people try to fix their world by changing their surroundings, their job, their partner, their location. But they never change themselves. And so the pattern returns. Different face, same frequency. But once you recognize this, everything changes. Because you realize you don't need to chase change outside. You generate it from the inside. The universe responds to your state, not your words, not your effort, but your vibration. That brings us to the third principle, vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. This isn't just spiritual metaphor, it's quantum reality. Every atom in your body, every thought in your mind, every word you speak carries frequency. You are a vibrational being in a vibrational field. And your dominant frequency, the emotional tone you live in most of the time, determines what you align with in the external world. Fear contracts your field. Love expands it. Doubt distorts your signal. Clarity amplifies it. The law of vibration is the foundation of the law of attraction. It's not about what you want, it's about what you are. The universe doesn't give you what you ask for, it gives you what you match. This is why 2 people in the same situation can live 2 completely different realities. One is tuned to lack, the other to abundance. One is tuned to fear, the other to flow. Their outer world mirrors their inner resonance. This law reminds you, you are a transmitter, and you are a receiver. You're not stuck. You're just vibrating at an old setting. Shift your state, Shift your field, reality will follow. The fourth Hermetic principle is polarity. Everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. This is not just philosophical wordplay. It is a foundational law of existence, light and darkness, hot and cold, love and hate. These aren't separate forces. They are the same energy, operating on different ends of the spectrum. There is no such thing as absolute darkness, only the absence of light. Cold is not a thing in itself. It is the absence of heat. And just as this is true in physics, it is true in your consciousness. When you feel fear, it's not the opposite of power. It is power at its lowest frequency. When you feel anger, it's not separate from love. It's distorted love, wounded and inverted. This law teaches you that nothing is ever static and nothing is ever truly separate. Everything exists in a sliding state, and every state can be transmuted by shifting polarity. This is what the alchemists meant by inner transmutation. You do not fight fear by resisting it. You raise its frequency into courage. You do not fight hate by condemning it. You elevate it through understanding. This principle is the key to spiritual alchemy. The transmutation of shadow into light, ignorance into wisdom, pain into purpose. The system conditioned you to label things as good or bad, black or white, us versus them. But polarity reveals the illusion behind this binary lens. Nothing is ever just one thing. Everything contains its opposite. And the greater your awareness, the greater your power to shift the current. The mystic doesn't react. They recalibrate. They do not fight the storm. They shift the wind. Polarity is the beginning of mastery. Now we move to the fifth principle. Rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. This is the law that governs the pulsing of the universe. The cycles of the moon, the seasons, the heartbeat, the inhale and the exhale. You are not outside of this rhythm. You are an expression of it. Emotion, energy, experience, all of it moves in waves. This is why no state is permanent. No joy lasts forever, no pain either. But most people forget this. They cling to the highs, resist the lows, and suffer when the natural rhythm changes. They mistake winter for failure. They forget that winter prepares spring. The law of rhythm teaches you to trust the flow, to ride the waves rather than drown in them, to observe the current without getting caught. When you are at your lowest, it is not the end. It is the pendulum preparing to swing. When you're in darkness, it's not punishment. It's gestation. The mystic learns to navigate the tides, to plant in the dark, to bloom in the light, to rest when the wave recedes and to rise when it returns. This principle also protects you from illusion, from chasing constant positivity, from expecting linear growth in a cyclic world. The system teaches progress as a straight line, but rhythm teaches expansion in spirals. You do not ascend in a straight shot. You spiral upward, revisiting lessons from a higher frequency each time. Trust the spiral, trust the tide, trust the rhythm. The sixth principle is cause and effect. Nothing happens by chance. Everything is law. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Most people live as victims of unseen forces. They say, "Why does this keep happening to me?" But Hermetic wisdom teaches, nothing just happens. There is no such thing as luck. There is no such thing as coincidence. Only cause, only law. This principle pulls back the veil on karma, manifestation, patterns, and synchronicity. Everything in your life, the people you meet, the events you experience, the obstacles and blessings, all of it is part of a chain of causes. Some you initiated consciously, others unconsciously. Some stem from past actions, others from ancestral or collective roots, but none are random. When you begin to live as a conscious cause, rather than an unconscious effect, You take your power back. You stop reacting. You begin to create. You no longer wait for change. You become the root of it. The magician does not beg the universe. They direct it, not with control, but with clarity. This law also holds you accountable. It reminds you that every word, every thought, every action is a seed, and every seed becomes fruit, whether bitter or sweet. So ask yourself, what are you planting? What are you repeating? What are you unconsciously allowing? You cannot escape the law, but you can align with it. Once you do, life becomes less about surviving waves and more about learning to shape the ocean. And finally, the seventh principle, the law of gender. Gender exists in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. This is not about physical sex. It is about energetic polarity. Every force in the universe, from creation to thought, from nature to spirit, expresses both active and receptive principles. The masculine is directive, focused, penetrating. The feminine is intuitive, nurturing, magnetic. One is not superior to the other. Both are sacred, both are necessary, and both live within you. The system has distorted these forces. It has glorified hypermasculine aggression, while suppressing the receptive wisdom of the feminine. It has created imbalance in individuals, in society, in the world. But Hermetic law teaches restoration, integration, wholeness. When your inner masculine and feminine are in harmony, you become powerful. Your masculine provides structure. Your feminine channels intuition. Your masculine gives direction. Your feminine births vision. When they work together, you move through the world with aligned force. You create not just with logic, but with flow. Not just with action, but with embodiment. This is the divine union, the sacred marriage of Shiva and Shakti, of Logos and Sophia, of sun and moon. When you unite the two within, you no longer seek completion without. You stop chasing love. You radiate it. You stop forcing success. You magnetize it. Because you are no longer fragmented. You are whole. These are the 7 Hermetic principles. Mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, gender. They are not beliefs. They are laws. They do not care whether you accept them. They operate regardless, like gravity, like time. And the more you resist them, the more they rule you unconsciously. But the moment you begin to observe them, to study them, align with them, apply them, the game changes. You become a conscious participant in creation. You stop living reactively and start living intentionally. You see beyond the veil. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And begin asking, what am I being shown? You realize that the universe is not random. It is precise, intelligent, responsive, alive, and it is listening to you. Always. So how do these principles actually play out in your daily life? Let's begin with mentalism. In the Western world, especially in the US, you are taught from a young age to believe in what is visible, measurable, and external. Thought is seen as abstract. Reality is physical. But what if it's the reverse? What if your job, your relationships, your financial patterns, your self-worth are all projections of inner beliefs you're not even aware of? Most people in the modern world are living in a state of unconscious creation. They blame external forces but never see that they're running on mental scripts written years ago. Scripts from childhood trauma, from social programming, from school systems that rewarded obedience and punished imagination. If you were told money doesn't grow on trees, you don't need to believe it logically for it to be active in your field. Your subconscious took the seed, and now it filters your reality through lack. You only see what matches that story. That's mentalism in action. It's not magic, it's law. Now let's look at correspondence. In American culture, people are trained to separate the personal from the external. If your job is toxic, you're told to grind harder. If your relationships are chaotic, you blame others. If the world is burning, you retreat into apathy or outrage. But the Hermetic lens flips that. As within, so without. Your external experience is a feedback loop. Your partner mirrors your inner child. Your boss triggers your suppressed authority issues. Your social feed reflects your unresolved values. This isn't about blame. It's about power. If everything is a mirror, you don't have to change the whole world. You shift the image by changing the source. Vibration shows up everywhere, especially in the US, where emotional suppression and hustle culture dominate. People are told to keep grinding, stay productive, hide their emotions, look successful. But underneath the surface, energy doesn't lie. You can say affirmations all day, but if your vibration is rooted in fear, the universe responds to the vibration, not the words. That's why someone who feels unworthy can keep repeating, "I am rich," and nothing happens, because the frequency doesn't match the message. The vibration is off. But when someone shifts into genuine gratitude, even before the result shows up, reality begins to move. Why? Because the frequency changed. This is also why music, breathwork, nature, dance, and stillness are so powerful. They bypass the mental story and tune your field directly. You don't need to force reality. You just need to become the version of you that it already aligns with. Polarity is everywhere in American discourse. Red versus blue, right versus left, woke versus anti-woke, masculine versus feminine. The system thrives on division. But Hermeticism shows you that all polarity is illusion, two sides of the same spectrum. The true magician sees the opposites and integrates them. Light doesn't destroy darkness, it includes it. Love doesn't deny anger, it transforms it. If you only operate from one pole, you become rigid, reactive, and predictable. But when you hold the full spectrum, you become fluid, untouchable, whole. Rhythm explains why even the most successful people crash, why relationships fluctuate, why seasons of silence often precede expansion. In modern life, people fear the down cycle, but Hermetic wisdom reminds us, the pendulum always swings. If you fight the fall, you suffer. But if you trust the descent, you rise stronger. Just like nature doesn't bloom all year, neither should you. Winter is not death. It's rest, restoration, regeneration. Western culture teaches productivity over presence. But real alignment comes from dancing with the tides, knowing when to move and when to surrender. Cause and effect shows up in generational trauma, systemic oppression, unconscious habits, karmic loops. The U.S. is a land of personal responsibility, but also of deep inherited cause, cultural, racial, financial. Hermeticism doesn't deny accountability. It just widens the lens. It says you are not guilty, you are responsible. Not for everything that happened to you, but for how you respond now. For what you continue, for what you interrupt. Most people are stuck in effects, blaming their parents, their boss, the news. But the principle invites you to become a cause. You don't wait for permission. You become the initiator, the pattern breaker, the shift. And gender, perhaps the most distorted of all, has become a battlefield. People confuse biological sex with energetic polarity. But Hermetic gender is not physical. It's creative force. Masculine is direction. Feminine is magnetism. Masculine speaks. Feminine listens. Masculine moves forward. Feminine draws inward, and you hold both. A man disconnected from his feminine becomes cold, rigid, over-controlling. A woman disconnected from her masculine becomes passive, unsure, blocked. But when you unify both, you become unstoppable. The West teaches separation. Hermeticism teaches union, sacred inner marriage, harmony, power. These principles are not abstract. They are active, right now. Shaping your finances, your relationships, your mental health, your creativity, your purpose. And when you apply them consciously, you become a different kind of human. One who walks through chaos with clarity, who reads signs, who bends timelines, who no longer reacts, but creates. Because you're not living life. You're directing it. So how do you actually use these laws? Not just understand them, but live them, embody them, activate them. Because knowledge is not transformation. Action is. These principles are not mental concepts to memorize. They are frequencies to attune to, lenses to see through, tools to shape reality. Let's begin with mentalism. If all is mind, then your thoughts are not private. They're magnetic. Your inner dialogue creates outer architecture. The first practice is observation. Watch your thoughts without judgment, especially the ones on repeat. The silent mantras you didn't choose but inherited. I'm not enough. I always mess it up. It never works out for me. These thoughts are not truths. They are programs, echoes, glitches in the matrix. Once you see them, question them, then rewrite intentionally, not with empty affirmations, but with coded declarations that carry energy. I create my reality with clarity. I am the cause, not the effect. I remember who I am. Speak these daily, not to convince yourself, but to signal the field, because you are not trying to become anything. You're reactivating what's already inside you. With correspondence, the work is reflection. When something happens outside, pause. Before reacting, ask, where is this inside me? Not in blame, but in curiosity. If you keep attracting emotionally unavailable people, where are you emotionally unavailable to yourself? If people keep crossing your boundaries, where are you abandoning your own? This principle teaches radical honesty. It doesn't let you outsource responsibility, because once you realize the world is your mirror, you stop trying to fix the reflection and start healing the source. That's when things change. Fast. Because the mirror doesn't move first. You do. To apply vibration, you must become energetically literate. Feel the tone of your field, not just when things are good, but especially when you're triggered. Emotions are frequencies. They're not wrong. They're information. Shame is contraction. Grief is cleansing. Anger is a call for boundaries. Joy is expansion. Practice tuning your field through conscious regulation. Breath is one of the fastest ways. Slow inhale through the nose, hold. Slow exhale through the mouth. Sound is another. Chant, hum, sing. Sound reshapes structure. So does stillness. So does presence. Notice what raises your vibration, not artificially but authentically, and build your life around that. Choose resonance over reaction. Elevate first, act after. Polarity can be practiced through transmutation. The next time you feel a negative state, name it, own it, then ask, what is the opposite of this state? If it's fear, the opposite is faith. If it's self-doubt, the opposite is inner trust. Now imagine a dial, not a switch. A dial. Slowly turn the emotion toward its higher octave. Use breath. Use memory. Use posture. Use movement. This isn't spiritual bypassing. It's energetic leadership. You're not denying the emotion. You're alchemizing it. That's power. With rhythm, the key is surrender. Stop expecting constant productivity. Sync your schedule with your internal tide. When you're in high energy, go big. When you're depleted, rest. Track your emotional rhythm across weeks and months. Learn your energetic seasons, create in spring, launch in summer, reflect in autumn, restore in winter. Don't fight the spiral, partner with it. This is ancient, this is sacred. Even your breath obeys this law. Inhale, exhale, Pause. Everything that lives cycles. So should you. Cause and effect demands responsibility. Start with a simple but revolutionary practice. Reverse tracing. When something happens, especially something painful, trace it back. What thought preceded it? What feeling? What unconscious agreement? Map your life like a detective. Look for patterns. Everything is connected. Every moment carries seeds. You are not cursed. You are causative. And when you realize this, you stop fearing consequences and start planting with intention. One powerful way to use this law is through morning ritual. Set your tone early. Journal, move, meditate, speak intentions. These acts don't just center you, they start the chain of causation for your entire day. And with gender, you practice inner union. Notice your energy. Are you pushing too hard, overworking, proving, forcing? That's wounded masculine. Are you stuck in indecision, passivity, emotional overwhelm? That's ungrounded feminine. Neither is wrong. Both are signals. Begin to balance. If you're too mental, drop into the body. If you're too emotional, bring in structure. One anchors, one expands. When they work together, your life becomes coherent, flowing, creative, powerful. You don't need someone else to complete you. You need to become the marriage of your own polarities. Sacred union is not just romantic, it is internal, divine. These practices are not one-time fixes. They are lifelong initiations, and the deeper you walk with these principles, the more you begin to notice something extraordinary. Reality starts talking to you, loudly, clearly, repeatedly. The right people show up, the messages come through. Patterns dissolve, doors open, synchronicities multiply. Not because you forced it, but because you aligned with law, with truth, with source. Now that you've remembered the laws, it's time to step into them. Not as a theory, not as a mental game, but as a living system. Because the universe is not asking you to understand everything. It's asking you to align, to live as if these principles are real. Because they are. Every Hermetic law is a doorway, and once you walk through, you don't see the world the same way again. These aren't separate teachings, they're one unified field. 7 frequencies of the same truth. Mentalism shows you that you are the dreamer, not just the character. Correspondence reminds you that what happens in the external is shaped by the internal. Vibration teaches that frequency is the true currency of creation. Polarity gives you the power to shift energy, not suppress it. Rhythm aligns you with time's intelligence instead of fighting the tide. Cause and effect awakens your creative responsibility, and gender restores your wholeness. Together they rewrite your operating system. You begin to wake up in the morning differently. Instead of grabbing your phone and reacting to the digital storm, you sit in stillness. You remember, my mind shapes this day. You breathe in. Breathe out. Align your frequency before the world has a chance to program it for you. You speak into the field. I am the cause. I choose the tone. I create from center. These aren't just words. They're instructions to the field of consciousness around you. When you walk into a room, you notice the vibration. You feel it in your skin. You don't just respond to people's moods. You read their field. You understand. Their energy is communication, not just their words. You don't judge it. You respond in alignment. That is mastery. When someone triggers you, instead of collapsing into defense, you pause. As within, so without. You check the mirror. What is this person showing me about my own shadow? About my unmet needs? About the wound that still wants to be integrated? This isn't self-blame, this is energetic literacy. You no longer play the surface game of personality. You read patterns. And when chaos happens, when plans break, when something ends, when you're in the unknown, you remember rhythm. This is a wave. This is the tide. You don't panic, you breathe, you listen. You know that after the descent, the rise comes. You stop resisting life's spiral. You become fluid. And when good things come, the moment you've been waiting for, the relationship, the money, the breakthrough, you don't cling. You bless it. You let it move. You know that abundance isn't a thing to hold. It's a current to embody. You become the observer, not from detachment, but from awareness. You see cause and effect in motion. You see how your decisions ripple out, how your moods affect others, how your attention magnetizes certain experiences. And so you become deliberate. You don't just wish for change, you initiate it. You don't just react to what life brings. You start becoming the one who brings the next level of life into form. That is the path of the adept. That is the path of the modern mystic. And through it all, you begin to feel something new, or rather something ancient that was always with you. Presence. That still, unshakable center. The part of you that doesn't move when life moves, that doesn't fear when things fall apart, that knows you are not separate from the field. You are the field. You are the breath. You are the geometry. You are the bridge between the seen and the unseen, between the mind and the form, between the ancient and the now. And then something else happens. You start to notice signs everywhere, not just the obvious ones, like repeating numbers or familiar symbols, but deeper signs. You think of a person, they appear. You have a feeling, and it plays out. You follow a nudge, and it leads to something perfect. This isn't luck. This is what happens when your field is aligned with the deeper laws. Synchronicity is not random. It is structured response from a sentient universe, a feedback loop, a signal that you are remembering the language that reality actually speaks. Not words, not logic, but frequency, vibration, geometry, pattern. And this awareness changes the way you dream. At night, your subconscious becomes more alive, more symbolic. You begin to see messages in images, in numbers, in beings. Some familiar, some strange, but they all have meaning. And in the waking world, you realize the dream never ended. This is still the dream, just a more collective one. But now you are lucid. You're not sleepwalking through your job, your relationships, your rituals. You are awake. And with that awakening comes a responsibility. Not to fix the world, but to become a living pattern of what is possible. You realize that your vibration affects the collective, that your healing clears generational echoes, that your courage ripples across timelines. And then you begin to feel a presence around you. Not just people, not just coincidence, but energy, guides, forces, consciousness that's been with you all along, waiting for you to open the channel. Some call it higher self, some call it spirit, some call it source. But the name doesn't matter. What matters is the connection. And now it's clear. You ask, it responds. You quiet your mind, it speaks. And this voice doesn't scream, it whispers. Through intuition, through resonance, through knowing. You start to make decisions not from logic alone, but from alignment. You stop chasing safety. You start choosing truth, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's lonely, even when no one else understands. Because the path is no longer external, it's energetic, and you are walking it from the inside out. This is what happens when the 7 Hermetic Principles stop being ideas and start becoming embodiment. You are no longer just a student of wisdom, you become the vessel of it. You no longer search for power, you live as power. Quiet, clean, undeniable. And in this space, reality begins to move faster. Time bends. Manifestations speed up. The gap between thought and form shortens. Not because you're special, but because you're aligned. This is the difference between spiritual entertainment and actual evolution. One makes you feel inspired for a moment, The other rewrites your frequency, your body, your timeline. So now the question becomes, what will you do with this? You've remembered the code. You've seen the mechanics behind the curtain. You've felt the resonance of truth in your nervous system. You can't unknow this. You can't unsee it. The system will try to pull you back, into distraction, into doubt, into separation. But you've seen too much. And if you listen closely, you'll hear it. The rhythm of something ancient beating in your chest, the memory of magic in your bones, the hum of creation in your breath. This is your signal. You don't need to become anything. You need to remember what you already are. A fractal of the all, a vessel of law, a co-creator of form. Not tomorrow. Now. If you want these laws to activate, you need to stop consuming them as theory. Start building your life around them. Not symbolically, literally. First, mentalism. Every morning before touching your phone, command your field. Speak what you intend to experience, not to motivate yourself, but to calibrate the field around you. Declare, my thoughts shape my path. Then scan your mental layer. What thought loops are running? Interrupt them. Replace them with structure. Use one thought like a mantra, one that contains your direction. Hold it until your nervous system syncs with it. Don't hope. Direct. Correspondence. Stop fixing the world first. Fix your pattern. If you keep attracting criticism, where are you still critical of yourself? If the world feels chaotic, where are you still unresolved? Take notes. Track reflections. Don't judge them. Use them. Assume nothing is random. Everything you see in another is data about your own frequency. Use contrast as calibration. Don't react to it. Read it. Vibration. Build your day around frequency control. Movement, breath, sound, and silence. These are your 4 instruments. Don't let emotional states run unconsciously. Intervene with the body. Set 3 vibration rituals per day. 1 morning, 1 midday, 1 before sleep. Could be 5 minutes of silence. Could be toning. Could be walking with intentional breath. Your vibration must be managed like oxygen. Without it, you revert to entropy. Polarity, anytime you hit an emotional spike, run the inversion. If you feel fear, activate breath and move toward bold action in small form. If you feel resistance, do 1 micro step toward the blocked task. Opposites aren't canceled. They're transformed. Every emotion is a tool. Learn to rotate it along the spectrum. That's alchemy. Rhythm. Audit your week. When are you pushing against your own timing? Identify peak cognitive hours, emotional lows, recovery windows. Track them for 30 days. Stop pretending you're a machine. Build your projects to match your internal seasons. Build in pauses. If you feel a contraction, don't push. Observe, wait, watch for the turn, flow with it. That's timing intelligence. Cause and effect. Analyze the last 5 bad outcomes in your life, not to assign blame, but to find the initiating moment. What was the decision before the result? What was the belief behind the decision? Now recode it. Create a new microcause every day. 1 intentional thought, 1 intentional word, 1 intentional act. Small but clear. Plant the cause. Let the field compound it. Make it measurable. Gender daily integration practice. Ask, what energy is needed now? Structure or intuition? Then shift your posture accordingly. Structure, tsawonoj, plan, action, linear motion. Intuition, receive, feel, non-linear signal. Alternate these consciously. Do not stay in one. You'll burn out or dissolve. Harmony between them creates coherent manifestation. Choose 1 masculine and 1 feminine practice every day. For example, masculine. Finish task list. Feminine. Receive intuitive image without question. Document it. Track what happens. That's gender balance in action. Each of these 7 laws is not philosophical. It's functional, but only if applied. You don't have to master all of them today, but you must stop living unconsciously. No more asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what pattern did I align with? Or, what did I ignore? Or, what law did I override? The answers will be there, always. This is how you train your field. Not by reading, by living, not by chasing energy, by stabilizing it, not by waiting for signs, by becoming one. That's the path of integration. That's the reality of mastery. If you're ready to stop knowing the principles and start living them, then listen closely. There is a way to bring them online. All of them. Now. Not someday. Not when you're fully healed. Now. This isn't a ritual for candles and crystals. This is a ritual for conscious reprogramming, for inner command, for energetic recalibration. This is how you open the 7 gates of Hermetic reality and walk through them fully awake. Begin with silence. Sit. Breathe. Center. Don't perform. Don't try. Just become still. Once your body stops moving, move your mind. Say internally, I remember that all is mind. Visualize your thoughts as code flowing into the matrix of your life. See your next thought as a creative act. Say it intentionally. Today I think as a creator, not a reactor. Pause. Now move to the 2nd gate. Correspondence. Whisper in your mind. As within, so without. Scan your body, scan your mood. Ask, what frequency am I exporting into the world right now? Don't judge, just observe. Own it, then shift. 1 breath, 1 new state. Now the 3rd gate, vibration. Begin to move your breath like a wave. Inhale through the nose, hold. Exhale through the mouth. Let the sound vibrate. Make a low tone. Feel the shift. Then ask, what frequency will I carry today? And what will it attract? Name it. Speak it. Anchor it. 4th, polarity. Find the emotion that's been dragging you. Name it. Say fear, doubt, fatigue. Now say its opposite. Trust, clarity, vitality. Pick one. Visualize a dial and mentally turn it from the low frequency to the high. You're not erasing, you're transmuting. This is inner alchemy. 5th, rhythm. Say, I step into my season, I ride the wave. Feel if you are in an inhale or exhale of life, expansion or contraction. Say, I move with time, not against it. Let go of yesterday's pace. Synchronize with today. 6th, cause and effect. Say, I act from source, not from habit. Choose 1 thought, 1 action, 1 attitude. Say it aloud. I am the cause. This is my effect. Own it. Feel it in the spine. 7th, gender. Close your eyes. Feel your left side. Receptive, intuitive, feminine. Now you're right, focused, structured, masculine. Breathe into both. Say, my masculine creates space. My feminine brings form. Now merge them in your heart. Say, I am union. I am force and flow. I act as one. Now sit still. Let it integrate. Don't jump into motion. Don't explain it to yourself. Just let the code settle. What you just did wasn't symbolic. It was magnetic. You recalibrated your field. This is how you move from theory to presence, from learning to alignment, from seeker to source. Don't wait for external proof. It will show up fast, in messages, in patterns, in people, in friction, in ease. And when it does, respond differently. Don't go back to sleep. Don't default. Lead, watch, direct. You're not asking for signs anymore. You're responding to them. You're not trying to fix life. You're designing it. That's the work. And now, you've begun. If this transmission spoke to you, it wasn't random. You're not watching this by accident. You found it because your field was already ready. Now the question is, what will you do with it? Will you scroll past it like any other video? Or will you act? Because the universe speaks in whispers first, then in nudges, then in undeniable force. This was your whisper, don't ignore it. If you're ready to go deeper, really deeper, this is just the surface. Inside our Insights Academy, we unpack each principle, law by law, with tools, activations, and transmissions that can't be shared publicly. For those ready to take the leap, go to the link in the description. You'll also receive the full Hermetic Field Guide and the Kabbalion ebook free. But don't wait. Timing is rhythm. And if you felt the pull, this is the moment. Comment below, I remember. That's how we recognize each other. Because the ones who remember activate reality. The rest just react to it. And I know which one you are. Let's go deeper.